Right, let me get this straight. Britain's Prime Minister is literally fleeing the country whilst his own party tears itself apart like a group of toddlers fighting over the last biscuit. Keir Starmer, the man who promised stability, competence and an end to Tory chaos, is now presiding over a Labour Party so divided that it makes Brexit negotiations look like a friendly game of chess. And where's he going during this absolute circus? China, of course, because nothing says strong leadership quite like booking a last-minute flight to Beijing when your house is burning down. This isn't just political drama, folks. This is full-blown Shakespearean tragedy meets reality television, and honestly, you could not write this stuff. Quick favor, if you are finding this absolutely mental and want more British political chaos delivered straight to your feed, smash that subscribe button. Over 94% of you have not done it yet. It is free, takes literally 1 second, and honestly means everything to us here at British Mirror. Cheers if you did. Right, back to the absolute carnage. So here is what has happened. Our dear Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has decided that Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, and genuinely one of the most popular figures in Labour, cannot stand in a by-election in his own city. Yes, you heard that correctly. The party that bangs on endlessly about democracy, representation and giving power back to the people has just told one of their own heavy hitters that he is not allowed to run for Parliament. The reason? Apparently, it would divert resources from other campaigns. Resources. Let that sink in for a moment. The Labour Party, which just won a massive majority in the general election, claims it does not have enough resources to handle a by-election in Greater Manchester. It's like Jeff Bezos saying he cannot afford a sandwich. Absolutely ridiculous. But let us be honest here. This is not really about resources, is it? This is about fear. Pure, undiluted political fear. Andy Burnham is not just popular, he's dangerously popular. The man has actual charisma, something Labour has been desperately short on since, well, quite possibly forever. He connects with voters in the north, he speaks like a normal human being, and most importantly, he hasn't spent the last few months watching Labour's polling numbers plummet like a stone thrown off Beachy Head. Starmer and his inner circle know exactly what happens if Burnham gets back into Westminster. He becomes an alternative, a rallying point, a potential challenger when things inevitably go pear-shaped in the May elections. And judging by Labour's current trajectory, those elections are going to be about as pleasant as a root canal performed by a blindfolded dentist. The vote to block Burnham came from a 10-strong group on Labour's National Executive Committee, including Starmer himself. 10 people. That's all it took to override the wishes of an entire constituency and deny them the candidate they actually want. Democracy in action, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely beautiful. And the justification? Well, according to Sir Keir, they need to focus on the really important elections happening in May across England, Wales and Scotland. Because apparently a by-election in Greater Manchester, one of the most politically significant regions in the country, is not important enough. It's like saying Wembley Stadium is not important because you've got a five-a-side match in a car park to worry about. Now here's where it gets properly juicy. Whilst all this internal warfare is kicking off, Starmer has decided the best course of action is to hop on a plane to China. Yes, China. On Tuesday, right in the middle of this absolute firestorm. The optics are genuinely staggering. It's the political equivalent of the captain abandoning ship whilst the crew are still bailing out water and arguing over who gets the last lifeboat. His excuse? Trade talks, because nothing screams, "I've got my priorities straight," like discussing export agreements in Beijing whilst your own party is having a meltdown in Manchester. But wait, there's more, because this is not just about Andy Burnham and hurt feelings. This is about something far more dangerous for Starmer, the spectre of a leadership challenge. You see, whispers have been swirling around Westminster for months now about who might replace Starmer when, not if, things go sideways. And one name keeps coming up again and again: Wes Streeting. The health secretary, the man with ambition so transparent you could use it as a window. In November, Streeting had to publicly deny he was plotting against Starmer after finding himself at the centre of what can only be described as a Labour briefing war. Someone, somewhere in the party machinery, was trying to kneecap him before he got too powerful. Classic Westminster stuff. And now, well, a rather well-placed Westminster source has told the Express that Streeting could make his move as soon as this week, while Starmer is in China. Apparently, the word on the street is that Starmer's position is untenable and that the knives are being sharpened as we speak. Now, could this just be Westminster gossip? Absolutely. Could it also be legitimate plotting from ambitious MPs who can read a poll and see that Labour is hemorrhaging support faster than a punctured tyre? Also absolutely. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, as it usually is with these things, but the fact that these rumours even exist tells you everything you need to know about Starmer's grip on power right now. Spoiler alert, it's not strong. Let's talk about Reform UK for a second, because they're absolutely loving this chaos. Nigel Farage, the man who has somehow made a career out of being politically unkillable, has come out and said that his party's chances in the Gorton and Denton by-election have massively improved overnight because Burnham has been blocked. And honestly, he's probably right. Burnham would have galvanized the anti-Starmer vote, pushed turnout up, and made it incredibly difficult for Reform to win. Farage himself admitted as much. But now, without Burnham on the ballot, that anti-Starmer sentiment, which is growing by the day, has nowhere to go except straight into Reform's arms. Labour has essentially handed Farage a golden opportunity on a silver platter. Genius-level strategy there, lads. The by-election is happening because Andrew Gwynn, the previous Labour MP for the seat, had to quit due to significant ill health. So this isn't some manufactured political stunt. There's a genuine vacancy that needs filling, and the people of Gorton and Denton deserve to have the candidate they actually want representing them. But instead of letting democracy do its thing, Labour's high command has swooped in and said, no, 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 we know better than you. Here, have whoever we decide is acceptable. It's patronising, it's anti-democratic, and frankly, it stinks of desperation. Kyle's comments about Turkey are particularly interesting. He noted that it took Turkey 20 years to join the customs union with the EU. That timeline is accurate, but it's also slightly misleading. Turkey's journey was complicated by numerous political factors, membership negotiations, and specific arrangements about their relationship with the EU. Britain, having recently been a full EU member with all the institutional knowledge and existing trade infrastructure, wouldn't necessarily follow the same timeline. But Kyle's point seems to be that rejoining wouldn't be quick or simple, which is probably the one thing everyone can agree on. What's fascinating about this whole debacle is how it reveals the internal tensions within Labour about Brexit. During the opposition years, Starmer has been able to maintain discipline on this issue because, frankly, nobody really cared what the opposition thought about Brexit. But now they're in government, with ministers attending international forums and making trade policy, those private disagreements are becoming public contradictions. Some Labour MPs and ministers clearly believe that closer alignment with the EU, potentially including a customs union, is economically necessary. Others believe that reopening Brexit debates would be political suicide. And Starmer is stuck in a middle, trying to keep everyone happy while maintaining those red lines he drew during the election campaign. The timing of this chaos is also rather unfortunate for Labour. They're trying to convince the country that they have a coherent plan for economic growth, that they're the stable, competent alternative to years of Conservative chaos. But when your ministers are publicly contradicting each other and themselves on fundamental economic policy, that stability narrative takes rather a battering. It's hard to convince businesses to invest and plan for the long term when the government can't seem to decide whether it's open to a customs union or considers the idea foolish utopian thinking. Kyle's insistence that he's focusing on what it takes to get growth into the economy now is telling. He's trying to pivot away from the long-term customs union question to immediate growth measures. But that doesn't really work when you've just been asked directly about the customs union and said it would be crazy not to consider it. You can't simultaneously argue that something is worth considering and that you're not going to consider it because you're focused on other things. Well, you can, but people might reasonably point out that you're talking nonsense. There's also Kyle's claim that the Brexit debate ripped our country apart, but now we are back together as a country. This is the kind of optimistic political rhetoric that sounds lovely, but doesn't survive contact with reality. Brexit didn't just create a temporary disagreement that we've all since resolved with a nice cup of tea and a biscuit. It revealed and deepened fundamental divisions about Britain's place in the world, about immigration, sovereignty, economic priorities, and national identity. Those divisions haven't magically healed because Labour won an election.